And welcome inside the Backstage Pass. Always a busy day. Just a couple more days. We'll be in Fort Worth, Texas, taking in a couple of great shows this weekend. The great Warren Ziders coming up tomorrow night from Billy Bob's in Fort Worth, Texas. And, of course, Saturday, our good friend Brantley Gilbert came back on the show back on March the 5th, promoting his latest single, Off the Rails. It's the Off the Rails tour with Demon Jones and Struggle Jennings coming up there Saturday night, too, at Billy Bob's in Fort Worth, Texas. Happy Mother's Day, early Mother's Day to all the moms out there for the weekend. We got one more show coming up tomorrow. And then we're off to Fort Worth tomorrow night, too, as well, to take in two great shows. Speaking of a great artist, you heard about her on KKTC, True Country 99.9 and HighTideCountry.net this morning. Pleased to welcome in here is her new single, People Don't Love. It's across all those streaming platforms. Abigail Virginia to the program. How you doing?
I'm doing well, Brandon. How are you?
It's good. It's good to be here and, taking off to Fort Worth. It's that's a good sign for a weekend that I just go play hooky and just get away from everything and go see a couple of concerts.
Yeah, keeps you sane. You gotta.
Yeah, it does.
Take
this
those
music
weekends.
bug, it's an itch. You got to scratch it. So I got to go do some concerts. And hey, that's a pretty good weekend. Warren Ziders tomorrow night and Brantley Gilbert on Saturday night too at the world famous Billy Bob's too. Hey, talk about this. We were talking before the show, and I got to know you a little bit this morning. But UNA, Florence, right there in Alabama. They're living the dream. Like I said, wanting to do this. Becoming a musician. Tell me that story of kind of when you got to, scratch that itch, kind of become that musician, and you're like, man, I'm taking off. I'm going to Nashville. I'm doing the thing. Tell me about that story.
Yeah, it's honestly a crazy story. So I grew up in a small town called Springville, Alabama, and there's one traffic light. The biggest thing we got going on, we got a Walmart. And so when I was really young, and I've said this in other interviews, but my mom said I looked at her, I was like maybe 8. And I was like, Mom, I'm going to wear crowns and sing on stages. And I never outgrew that. I always wanted to do music. I just didn't know how. And I was always too scared to post on YouTube. And there was a Mexican restaurant where I lived, but that was it. People weren't gigging. People weren't doing music. I was so in a bubble in my small town, and I wanted to do it, and I would sing at church, but that was about it. And right after I graduated high school, I started posting on TikTok because there was that short form content. And I was like, okay, I'll just kind of sing a little clip and post it. I'm not as nervous to do that. Then I ended up having some really viral videos, and I was like, oh, I can reach this many people online. That's crazy. And when I went to college, it was around the same time. Fame Studios is in Muscle Shoals, and that's 10 minutes away from my college. And I instantly started meeting people and writing in Fame Studios every night till 3 a.m. And that's kind of what started everything. And I almost just fell into it. I always wanted to do it, but I just didn't know how. And it felt like it kind of came to me in a way. And then because of that, I ended up, again, meeting people. One person I met was Anthony Smith, who at the time was VP at Porchlight Music Publishing. And he was the only person I knew outside of Florence. And I was like, I need an internship for the summer. I was a junior at the time. He's like, all right. I kept bugging him for months. And he ended up, saying I could come intern that summer. And I interned for him and one other company, working 40 hours a week in Nashville. And I loved it. And so I ended up going online my senior year. And I've stayed ever since, and I've been here almost 2 years on CMA Fest. When I moved to Nashville, it was during CMA Fest week,
wow.
where it was the whole industry is literally in Nashville that week. And I met so many people, and actually Empire, I met some people at Empire who now distribute my music. I met them there that week, and I know I'm saying a lot. It's a lot of info, but even during that time, during that time as well, I ended up meeting someone else that got me on the TV show I was just on. So that week was crazy I'm so glad I took that leap of faith. And one of my songs, if y'all, listening, go and listen, Set It On Fire, that song was written about, hey, I'm leaving behind, things that aren't for me, and I'm going to go chase what's really mine. And, doing that, really was really fruitful for me. And so it's kind of my long story short coming here. So.
Well, and I was saying before the show, you've got this kind of fresh crossover, too, with the pop feel to the countryside, to so many ladies doing their thing right now with Lainey. And you look at Lindsay shredding on the guitar, Lindsay L., and, of course, Megan Maroney, Ashley McBride, Carly Pierce. And the names go on and on for the female movement, this girl empowerment movement for country. And so the blend is so good. Your voice is so good. It's got that raspy kind of feel to it. I loved it. especially with this latest single. But I want to go back to some old school stuff here with Let Me Go, because that was one of the first ones I got to check out kind of in preparation, doing the homework we always do here on the show, we're proud to say. Tell us about the songwriting, your style of songwriting, and kind of when you knew that you're like, you know what, I found my sound, I found who I want to be as an artist, now I can focus on my music more.
Yeah, so from, you're saying like from Let Me Go, the
Let
story
Me Go
of
until now, yes.
till now, yeah. So Let Me Go, I mean, my writing process has always in a way kind of been the same, as far as like I'm kind of a freestyle writer. Whatever I'm just feeling, I just kind of spit it out. It really is like therapy for me. So whatever just comes out. As far as like sonically though, like genre wise and things like that, I feel like I'm really leaning in toward this like this soul. I still will always have a pop element to me because I love pop music. I mean, Adele is one of my biggest inspirations. So I love just powerful like pop dynamics, but I love also putting in like some soul, and I am from the South, so some stuff is going to have a little bit of country flair naturally, just because that's where I'm from. And when I start talking, people are like, well, you are from the South, and
Guilty as charged, right there with you.
Guilty as charged. And I've really just come to realize I just want to be, instead of thinking too hard about it always, it's just what is real. Like people don't love every word in that song is super authentic. It really happened. And we wrote it on a guitar, and I wanted to keep some of those elements in the song, in the music, and like just I want to capture the feeling of what it is I'm feeling. I'm not necessarily fully like, oh, this is exactly what I'm doing, but I'm like, I'm just doing me. I'm doing what feels really authentic, in the room at the time, for that song. So I try to just serve the song its purpose. Hopefully that makes sense. But
it does. No, you have a little of everything. I love the soul because I can feel it in this latest single. I can also feel it in the song that I got to hear, which was being from the South. People know what I'm talking about when I say this too, being from Texas here. Spin It Like a Record. Back in the day, you used to have those old vinyls that were there, and it was just that's what we did. And we had the old, I'm showing my age here, but we had the old cassette tapes and some of the 8-track stuff. And I always collected vinyl, but it was like the song had the feel of where it took you back to Spin It Like a Record. So talk about that one for us a little bit, and the backstory of that one too, because it made me think about 90s country, and what we used to do is have vinyl and play them.
Yeah, no, I'm so glad you brought that up. Actually, this is a crazy story now, because when I was 19, before I moved to Nashville, I randomly drove to Nashville for no reason. I just drove. It's not that far from my college, but I just felt like I needed to come. And I ended up having my friend Brad. He was here, and he was staying at one of his friend's houses. Her name is Tiffany. Mm-hmm. And he was like, come over here and let's write and let's hang out. I'm like, okay. So we were writing, and he's like, what do you feel right now? And I was like, man, I honestly just wish I was 16 again. I wish I had no responsibilities. And I look over, and she has in this apartment house, I think it was an apartment actually, a record player. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I want to spin it like a record. I want those memories to spin like a record. And we were like, oh my gosh, that's it. And so we wrote it. What's funny about it though, it was so full circle. I ended up having this random, someone asked me to do this like private event at their house, like sing, and there's going to be 2 other people there singing. And I never knew who the person's apartment was. Like I never met that person, Tiffany. And we were talking, we were both from Alabama. She ended up living in the same house I'm living at right now, like at one point in time in Nashville. And then I started to say my story about Spin It Like a Record. And I was like, yeah, and I was at this girl's apartment. Her name was Tiffany. And I don't know who it was. And I looked at her, and her name's Tiffany. I said, do you have a record player in your apartment? And she was like, yes. And she's friends with Brad, who I ended up writing it with. So it was just funny. So it ended up being her. It was just so full circle, because it was like, I randomly went to Nashville before I even knew I was going to move here. I wrote this song and ended up connecting with the person who inspired the song because of the record player in her apartment. And yeah, it was just, it's funny how music is. Music is like, it's so cool like that.
It is amazing. It is therapy. I love it so much too. And we got so many songs to talk about here, including the single. But I know with me, I can just keep on talking because I've already done my homework for the show. I know who Abigail Virginia is for the Backstage Pass. I want my listeners to know who Abigail Virginia is for the show. And to do that too, we get a chance to showcase a couple of songs today too as well. Again, the single out there, People Don't Love, is across all the streaming platforms. What are we going to hear? What's up first? What do you feel comfortable showcasing for us today?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to sing, People Don't Love.
Let's do it right there. It's a good place to start.
You want to do just like a 30 seconds, like just like
Yeah,
the
let's do
chorus?
that. That's fine. Let's do it. Yeah, if you're cool with that, we'll do that. Yeah.
All right. You made me realize what some people don't love. You took advantage of the way that I trust. Now I'm afraid of all the damage you've done. You made me realize why some people don't love. People don't love. It's like a little clip.
There you go. A little thin. If you want more, go stream it. That's what I always say too as well. If you want more of that, which that it's just when you dive into a song, man, you just hit it. It's like, man, just hitting somebody in the gut in a good way with coming out with the first note. And that's what made that song so special. And if you tuned in, of course, KKTC this morning, you heard the full version of that single, People Don't Love, too, as well. We'll do a couple more 30-second snippets of a lot of the songs we're talking about today, too, as well. But first, we've got to take a time out for our friends over there and our sponsors, of course, with CMA Fest coming up here in a few weeks. You know, we had Abigail mention CMA Fest moving there during that week a couple of years ago there, too, in Nashville, Tennessee. We're going to be there broadcasting this very radio show live on KKTC True Country 99.9. Of course, our friends out there at hightidecountry.net. 7 stages, count them, 7 stages, spotlight stage. I mean, everything's out there, CMAfest.com. Fanfare X, can't wait to be there inside the Music City Center. We got a lot of representatives reaching out to us right now to interview their particular artists because they'll be playing stages and doing meet and greets and, of course, all the action, the 4-night exclusive event at Nissan Stadium. Check it out, CMAfest.com. Download the CMA Fest Connect app out there across all the platforms. Get that downloaded, check your schedule, get your tickets, book your hotels. We've done all that, too, because Abigail can tell you CMA Fest is a wild, crazy week, and it's going to be fun broadcasting a radio show there. If you're in town, we're going to meet up and have some fun there, too. With all the different aspects of the Backstage Pass. We're also going backstage at the Grand Ole Opry Sunday, June 9th for the 42nd annual Sunday Morning Country, which is going to be exciting, hosted by Brenda Lee. And, of course, we'll be at Teddy's downtown there on Broadway, June the 7th from 6 to 10 with the folks at Nashville Universe. All made possible by these sponsors, the CadenGordonShow.com, today's best country mix, and our friends at Bangtail Whiskey. Coming back, more with Abigail Virginia here on the Backstage Pass, again powered by the Sports Guys Podcast.com and presented by these sponsors. Stay tuned.
The Bangtail pour is comprised of a sweet corn mash base. The front has a subtle sweetness and not too sharp. It has notes of a medium char or white oak for a smoky flavor in the middle, and the tail has a super smooth and warm finish.
The Caden Gordon Show, today's best country mix, is a 2-hour show playing independent and mainstream country music you know and love. Be sure to check it out at thecadengordonshow.com for more information on the show.
Go behind the scenes with some of the biggest artists in music today with the Backstage Pass, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. Join Brandon Morrill and his co-host Kirsty Krause as they talk to rising stars and legends about their music careers. Listen to their latest tracks and learn fun facts about the men and women behind the music you love. And be sure to tune into the Backstage Pass Monday through Friday from 3:30 to 6:30, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. And welcome into the Backstage Pass. And, of course, coming up tomorrow, Doug Gray of the world-famous Marshall Tucker Band. We'll talk to Doug about them still touring out there, 50 years in the business. Hard to believe it's been that long, and it's still smoking out those great hits, Fire on the Mountain and Can't You See, and all the great hits that the Marshall Tucker Band had. We'll have Doug Gray on the show coming up tomorrow. It will not be live. It'll be recorded and then out to the streaming outlets, hightidecountry.net, KKTC, True Country 99.9, of course. And coming up next week or two, Kaylee Hammock right here on the Backstage Pass. Just got confirmation on that today, one of the rising female stars in country music. Back here with Abigail Virginia. So I got to ask you about this. We're going to do a couple more snippets of 30-second clips on some of these songs, but 2 more that came to mind. One was Easy, which came out in 2023, I believe that was. And then before that was Saved Myself, which I thought were really just cool vibe songs that kind of fit. And you're so good at your songwriting. You can really feel it and you telling a story. I just wanted to ask you, that's got to be one of the most important things when you sit down to write, is making that person on the other side feel something and be able to kind of tell a story. And I thought those two songs really did a good job doing that.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Tell us about kind of breaking down a little bit. Easy, kind of the writing of that one, and then Save Myself.
Yeah, so Easy, again, all these songs are super personal and really happened. Easy, it's funny because, well, I guess I won't go into many details, but long story short, I was in this relationship, and he, had high standards for himself, and what's the word? Inspired me to write a song about, it's like, if it ain't easy, I don't want it. And it's like, because why do you want someone super in like in a healthy way, I mean, but like easy, like they'll just, someone who has firm beliefs, firm morals, all those things. And so you have to like really work for a person, and you want to work really hard on yourself to have a person like that. And so that's kind of what inspired that song. It's kind of sassy. It's like, I know I ain't easy. I ain't for everybody, but that's the point. And and for Save Myself, that one's really like a deep one. That one will just like come at your heart, because that was I actually wrote the first verse of that at the time when I was like super, honestly, like hopeless, and dealt with a lot of like anxiety and depression, really. And I found that snippet in my voice memos at like 30-second verse, like a year later, and it was like during the time I was about to move to Nashville, and I was so different, and I'd grown so much and gained a lot of my confidence back, and really realized throughout that time I wasn't alone. I felt like I was so alone in that time, and I had to pull myself up. And I'm a religious person, like I'm a Christian, and so I felt like, God was with me that whole time, even though I thought I had to save myself, really he was saving me from myself. And so, yeah, that's really what inspired that whole song. And so that one was different. It was cool. I didn't write it immediately. I wrote a little bit of it, and then it became a whole different meaning a year later, and finished it. So.
Well, then you turned to a couple others that I thought were just kick-ass songs, and we could have played either one of them on the KKTC this morning. We're still trying to fit them into the rotation out there too. But Set It On Fire just had like the message of like, you know what? I'm a badass. I'm going to do this. There's sass. There's a little bit of everything in this song. It's just got a little feel for everybody, because we all you can't use the word because they're going to radio too as well. You know how that goes. But get crapped on a lot of times. And we just always want to go out there and have some fun, or at least do something within the logistics of what we can do compared to what we can't do, because repercussions of what we can't do. But I thought there was a lot of cool things from this one. You mentioned the title earlier, but this had you made all over, the Set It On Fire.
Thank you.
It really did.
Yeah.
And being from the South, you know what that's about. I mean, it's just we have a little attitude toward it, a little sass. But this one had some great lyrics in it. Talk about this one for us a little bit. Break it down.
God, thank you so much. Yeah, Set It On Fire to this day is still like my favorite song, one of my favorite songs. It feels the most like me. So it's funny you said that. So I'm glad you can feel that. Yeah, so what I was talking about, Save Myself, I like that first verse, I was really in an awful time. Like for me, it was one of the lowest points, up until this point in my life. And, again, coming out of that, I look back and I'm like, I don't want that anymore. I'm not, I had so I'm like super outgoing and like really personable. And it's funny because I had said I was majoring in business to one of my friends in college, and they were like, well, that means you have to talk to people, right? And it hit me. I was like, what? No one in my life has ever said that to me. I was like, man, I'm so not myself. And I was like, I am setting fire to that anxiety and depression and people in my life that aren't supposed to be there. And, I'm going to really go after what I want. And so literally, I mean, that song was written so quickly. And there's a couple like events in my life it was inspired by. Like the first verse is talking about a lot of lights, a lot of noise. I was at actually a college bar in Auburn, had my first like panic attack there. And, that was like something that came to mind where it's like, I'm done with that. Like, I was in a relationship at that time too. That's why I was there. I don't like this relationship. I don't like the parties. Like, it's not really for me. And so, I wrote about that in the first verse. And so little things like that I draw inspiration from. But overall, the message is just walking away from things that don't serve you anymore and, going after, what you want. So.
That's what it made me feel like. It's like, you know what? No more BS. I'm gonna go after what I want in life. It's just the way it goes. And if I got to knock down some barriers to get there, I'm gonna set it on fire. That's the whole thing I got from that particular track there too as well. I tell you what, let's do another snippet, a little 30 seconds of any of these songs. Just give people a little tease. What do you think?
Yeah, I can do Spin It.
All right, let's do it. Here we go.
She was 16, living a little American teenage dream. Beautiful and wild and free, going with the wind blowing nowhere to be. Driving fast cars on a dead road and one-way street signs all lead home. Trying to find herself, is it in the past? She plays that song and it brings her back to the summer nights and pink skylines, spinning like a record, to the long car ride. It was a simple time, spinning like a record.
You know, I will say this too, and I've probably complimented you before. The voice just has great texture to it. It's just so pure, man. When you start singing that first note, it just gets me pulled in. I know for the listeners out there too as well. I just hope it does the same for them out there too. And of course, I'll tell you what's going to do the same for you too. If you want to make travel plans to see Abigail or any musician out there too, Music City's biggest week coming up, Country Music Association at CMA Fest coming up there, 2024 from June 6th to the 9th. And of course, to be out there 4 great nights at Nissan Stadium. Download that CMA Fest Connect app right now, all presented by our friends at Bangtail Whiskey and the CadenGordonShow.com. Today's best country mix. 7 stages out there too. Artist Spotlight stage is going to be fantastic. And, of course, out there will be at the Grand Ole Opry Sunday, June 9th, broadcasted backstage for the 42nd annual Sunday Morning Country hosted by the great Brenda Lee. And, of course, out there, too, as well at Fanfare X inside the Music City Center, having fun with that. So we're going to be all over the place doing a lot of interviews and doing the show live in real time. And if we have technical difficulties, it's called radio. Just have to put up with it and tune in because that's what happens. From a phone, from a computer, we're going to be all over the place out there, too. It's CMA Fest 2024. Check it out for tickets, hotel reservations. Check out the schedule, the lineup, all the great stages at CMAFest.com and download the CMA Fest Connect app. Made possible by these sponsors. Coming back here with Abigail, Virginia. It is the Backstage Pass powered by the Sports Guys Podcast.com and, of course, out there, too, as well, HighTideCountry.net and our friends at KKTC True Country 99.9. Stay tuned.
The Bangtail pour is comprised of a sweet corn mash base. The front has a subtle sweetness and not too sharp. It has notes of a medium char or white oak for a smoky flavor in the middle, and the tail has a super smooth and warm finish.
The Caden Gordon Show is a 2-hour show playing the best in country music. So check it out at thecadengordonshow.com. Again, that is thecadengordonshow.com.
Go behind the scenes with some of the biggest artists in music today with the Backstage Pass, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. Join Brandon Morrill and his co-host Kirsty Krause as they talk to rising stars and legends about their music careers. Listen to their latest tracks and learn fun facts about the men and women behind the music you love. And be sure to tune into the Backstage Pass Monday through Friday from 3:30 to 6:30, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. And welcome into the Backstage Pass. And, of course, coming up next week, more great shows here. The Backstage Pass, KKTC True Country, 99.9. Of course, our friends out there at High Tide Country last year. Appreciate you guys listening at High Tide out there, too. Over 250,000 listeners last year for the 12 months. And right now, averaging about 25,000 listeners per month at HighTideCountry.net. So the power of radio is in your hands. And you guys did it. You voted us. You've listened to the show. You've been so kind to all the great listeners out there, too. And, of course, we're a finalist now for the International Singer-Songwriters Association. We'll see you in Hot Atlanta, coming up in Atlanta, Georgia there, August 22nd, 23rd, and 24th for the ISSA Awards Show. And good luck to all the nominees in their respective categories out there, too. But it'll be cool going to Atlanta. Have you been to Atlanta? I heard it's a fun city. I've been before, but it was like many moons ago, probably 20 years ago, to watch the Braves play ball out there. Have you been to Atlanta? Yeah. Have you played down there?
No, I've never played. I've been to Atlanta, though, a couple times, but it's been a long time. I'm overdue for a trip because it's really not far. Yeah, it's not far from here.
Looking forward to going back to it. The flight's pretty easy down here from Houston, too, as well. So International Singer-Songwriters Association, the big award show coming up August the 24th, and looking forward to being a part of that. And, of course, thank you guys for Radio Station DJ of the Year, naming us as a finalist there in that respective category. Good luck to all the nominees and their categories out there, too. One of the largest independent shows out there, too. Looking forward to be a part of that coming up in August. All right, I got to talk about this because I thought this was another just a terrific song you guys put out. We've mentioned this before the show started, but House of the Rising Sun. Yeah. Now, this just had like just the whole like another gut punch in the way it was, and some attitude in it at the same time, what you've done with your music. Pretty synonymous with it too, so I love it. Just like Set It On Fire. But this also had to be one of your favorites to play, perform live, and record in studio, right?
Oh yeah, House of the Rising Sun is definitely a favorite to ever cover.
How did this one get started? How did this thing? That's the backstory of this one.
Yeah, so I was on, I Can See Your Voice. It just released in January. I actually was on the show, though. It's so funny how TV is, if you don't know, guys. Sometimes you'll film something and they don't air it for a year or 2 years later. That happened to be the case with this. So I did the show about a year and a half ago, and I sang House of Rising Sun as my, revealing song on the show. And so I wanted to have my own version of it out for people to have when they listen to it, because I got a lot of new followers from the show, So I definitely just, I knew and I also just love the song. I wouldn't release a song I didn't feel connected to, and that one just it's so soulful, and I just love it so much. And it's funny though, because when you hear the record, you might think, man, that took a while to like really get done. And most of the times it's like a process. Like it takes a couple weeks to months to really get a song finalized. By the time you write it, demo, production, mix and mastering, and putting it out there, it can take a while. But the TV show called me and was like, by the way, we're releasing your episode in 3 weeks. And because they didn't tell us when they were going to do it. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't have it done yet. And I wanted to have it done. And so I called my friend Paul Sykes and was like, hey, you could say no, but would you be down to record House of Rising Sun tonight? And he was like, yeah, come on. And so we literally turned that song around in 2 days. We got it done that night. He finished the production. We sent it to mix and mastering, and I had it out by the time the show was airing in 3 weeks. So, and it's one of my favorite. I think it's one of the best records I've done too. And it's so crazy to think we did that in 2 days.
That's crazy too. And it's got, you said, soulful feel to it, man. You got to get check this out. All the listeners out there too. House of the Rising Sun, and get all these songs streaming across your favorite platform there too. All right, before we have a little fun, I got to go to the other side of the business, because not all is rainbows and unicorns when it comes down to it, but there's always that other side, which is the challenging side, because I know in the management game, in the booking side too, you got to set it on fire, no pun intended there, but at the same time, go after what you want. But I wanted to ask you about challenges you face as an artist in the business, some of the things the fans don't see that go on behind the scenes, that you've got to either work your own social media, or you have a collaboration on the right, or you're pulled in so many different directions. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, I think one thing that I didn't fully know, and people won't know until you're just in it, just how much work it really takes. I mean, people think people blow up overnight, and maybe they do, but a lot of times it won't always last, because you have got to, like, it's a business more than people realize. I mean, like, you're writing the songs, you are the content creator, you're the one posting, you're the one funding. A lot of times, just because, like, I have over 300,000 followers on TikTok, but I don't have anyone like booking any of my shows. I don't have anyone giving me money for any of my songs. I don't have a content strategist. I also have to work a 9 to 5. So it's like, on top of that, again, I'm funding or having to network and hopefully have people help me, which I do. And I'm so thankful for, and I could go all day about how the people I have in my corner that just believe in me and help me, that they're the reason I'm even able to get music out to you guys. And not everybody's that fortunate, because it can cost a lot of money to, do those things. But yeah, again, you're wearing all those hats, you're having to make all the decisions, which sometimes could be, which is amazing, but hard when it's you, it's just you, as far as like the songs, the production, mix, mastering, content, networking, and working just your day job to make money and be a friend, clean your house. You know what I mean? It's like, it's a whole nother job. And so I don't think people realize how much it takes to have a song out there in the world. And yeah, I mean, there's way more other things, but overall it's a lot. But I don't see it as work, because I love it so much, but,
I echo those sentiments entirely, because that's what it is. It's a lot of work, and even putting on a radio show here too, and still doing an 8 to 5, and a lot of things out there too that you're doing, and of course behind the scenes you are the face of it. It's counting on you, run it like a business. All those good things happen out there too because it's great to do it. Yeah, I'll be at a couple of shows this weekend, but hey, schedule, itinerary, such and such, boom, 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 and then showtime. You get to enjoy for 90 minutes. That's it, and then you get it's worth taking pictures and social media and all of it too. But again, content. I always tell people you're not going to find anywhere else too as well. Let me ask you this: I'll have full fun, kind of put it in a little rapid fire with this kind of thing. Get to know you more, kind of personal basis besides just music out there. So, other hobbies when not doing music, what do you enjoy doing the most?
I'm pretty active. Like I love working out. I love going on walks. Like if I don't get a daily walk in, I won't be sane. You know, like I have to find time to go take a walk. And I mean, honestly, because of my job and music, it takes most of my time, honestly. And so even when I have a little time, I'm trying to get better in those things, you know, whether that's practicing piano or writing or whatever. But I do love hanging out with my friends and spending time in Nashville and going out to new restaurants and, you know, obviously moving my body and walking. So yeah, those are probably the two top things: is hot girl walking and seeing some friends. So.
Yeah, I tell you what, I must have gone through a midlife crisis. I don't know what it is here, being my age, whatever now, in my 40s. But looking back, you start going, what did I miss the most besides just the radio show? I was like, you know what? So I got my daughter a bike a while back, and I'm like, damn, I haven't ridden like 10, 15 years. I said, wonder what bikes cost. So I did my research on it, went back to the store. I said, well, hers was cheap. I said, of course, I know mine's not going to be cheap, but I had to go get like a custom made one, extra large frame, a little 7-speed out there too. And I was like, so I just took up bike riding about a month ago, and I love it. I fell in love with it again. So it's just kind of one of those midlife crises.
You found your inner child.
Yeah.
You find your inner child again, you know?
And I did. So I bought like 3 bikes, one for her, the wife, and of course me. And I was like, you know, I just got to start having fun again and just bike riding. And it was just something I wanted to pick up. And trust me, on the scale, I'm glad I did. Trust me, that's different from what people see in that commercial video to what is on the screen right now. It's the LBs have been shedded, no doubt about it. Hey, speaking of Nashville too, I'm probably going to add some more LBs when I'm there too, because I always find new places. I'm a huge hot chicken fan, and I loved going to Hattie B's. It was just fun to finally do it. Stand outside, wait in line, go through the whole experience, the ordering, the bringing you the food. Couldn't even eat it all. Being a guy who just loves to eat, that's part of it. But for you, I guess, 1, are you a hot chicken fan? And then 2, on top of that, where's your place if you are? And if not, where do you like to eat when you go out and test those new restaurants?
Man, you know, I'm a spicy person. I love spicy food, but my stomach, I found out, which a lot of people are having this issue, which is crazy. I don't know what they're putting in our food, but the past couple of years, my stomach can't handle dairy and gluten anymore. So I'm pretty much on like a paleo diet. But I was the kid that's like, dinner's going to be ice cream, Dorito, like pizza. Like I was that person. So it's so sad that I'm like, I would go back to eating like that if I could. But I honestly, I cook a lot at home because of that reason. But if I am out, Albo's a good restaurant that's like got a lot of friendly foods like that. I love Cava, which is like a quick, fast place, but they make these like bowls that are so good. And yeah, I'm probably missing stuff, but honestly, you know, mostly eat at home really, but overall,
it's all good.
Yeah.
You know, hot chicken, I know it messes up the stomach, but when you first moved there, that was for me. I got to go try like Prince's, which I know is the OG. So Hattie B's was really good too, but it's like once I have a few bites and then starts to kind of to rumble, and then you take your Tums or whatever your thing is to eliminate all the heartburn. But it was so much food for like little of the price that I couldn't even eat it all.
They load it up. They load it up.
There's chicken, sides, everything too. So I can't wait to get back here. And I'm still waiting to find another good pizza place. We found one a couple of CRS things ago. We were there too.
Slice of Italy, I will say. Slice of Italy here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that is
I'll
a must
cheat every now and then. That place is good.
All right. So we need to go eat when I get there, right? June 6th to the 10th or whatever.
Slice of Italy, I'm telling you. You'll fall in love. It's like New York. It's New York pizza.
All right. So we'll make plans. I'll get in touch with you. We'll go eat at Slice of Italy if you're cool with that too, and just shoot the breeze a little bit. And I'll remember you said that on the show when we're sitting there eating pizza there in a couple of weeks. Yeah. All right. Favorite shows to binge watch. What do you get into when it comes to TV, or do you even watch a lot of TV at all?
I don't, but I do love Friends. Like if I'm going to put on something, I love Friends. You know, honestly, me and my friends were watching like Love is Blind. That show's so fun.
It's funny.
So, yeah.
I like that. All right, when it goes for I remember growing up, we always, the inner child, talk about bike riding. For me, I got back into some of the Star Wars stuff now. So my kid's into this Star Wars Rebels. It's going on right now with Disney Plus and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of your inner child with Star Wars. For you, cartoons, what was it growing up for you?
Gosh, man, parents don't come for me. I was a SpongeBob kid. I loved SpongeBob. I loved Very Odd Parents. Those are probably like top two. I watched a lot of, this is not cartoon necessarily, but I loved Disney growing up. I was a big Disney kid. Yeah.
I like that
probably
too.
SpongeBob. Honestly, it was SpongeBob.
I loved like the Thundercats and all the G.I. Joe and Transformers and He-Man and Masters of the Universe. All those 90s great stuff that was there.
Oh, yeah.
And I just started watching the original, just watching it again because it was just kind of fun. Me and the wife put it on, and I was like, this is cool stuff. Like all that X-Men stuff in the 90s, like the 96, 97, 98, all the X-Men cartoons. It's kind of fun. The anime thing, it was just kind of fun seeing it again, man. I love that kind of stuff too. As much as I love this music, everything we've talked about today, House of the Rising Sun, Set It on Fire, First Time, everything out there people don't love. Oh, before we go, thank you for being on today too. Can't wait to see you in Nashville in a few weeks. Let's do another snippet of a song. Let's do it.
All right. Trying to think. Oh wait, do I need to tell y'all probably what? This one's Let Me Go.
All right, we go.
This one's a different style. If you listen to the recording, it's super pop. This is like more soulful. Open the door and you play with fire. Come let it burn. You play with my heart and your carnal desires. You made me unto. You got your reasons how I got my vices. You're gonna wish that you would have thought twice, babe. For you ruined my life. I just seem to let me go. And I know you think I'm moving on, but time will show. Hey, you think I'm cracking, tying on the floor. Truth is, I'd be lying. I can't seem to let me go. I can't seem to let me go.
Love it. Just love the music. I'm gonna go listen to it here in a little bit too as well. We're gonna go pick the kid up from school today and just enjoy all this great music, man. It's just the beauty of doing this show is learning about great artists like Abigail Virginia here on the Backstage Pass. And of course, check her out on social media and go download People Don't Love across all those streaming platforms. I appreciate you so much being here with us today. Hope you had a great time. And I hope to see you in Nashville, Tennessee here in a couple of weeks at CMA Fest 2024. Hope you had a great time. And we're going to do this again. It's just part of it, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. And yes, we definitely need to meet up. So
you got it. Abigail Virginia, People Don't Love across all the platforms. And I know there's more music on the way. Just remember, musicians never rest on their laurels. And, of course, a lot of cool things happening out there, too, with more music. Is there another drop date coming out for a new one?
Man, I just wrote one like 2 nights ago that I'm like, I'm supposed to release this other one in like a month. And so, yeah, you can expect some music in like, I would say a month. But now I'm like, oh, I really love this one. You know how it is.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
It's hard to choose.
So something will be out in a month. I don't want to say which one now because I'm like,
I got you. We'll keep the cat in the bag there too. And like I said, the teaser is something will be out in a month too as well. Give her a follow across all the social media out there. True artist out there, Abigail Virginia, across all those streaming platforms out there. Super talented, next wave of talent out there in all genres of music. We'll see you guys back tomorrow. It won't be live, but we'll put it out there. Doug Gray of the Marshall Tucker Band coming on to talk about us. I mean, just to say that is just phenomenal. It's music royalty. Kaylee Hammock in a few weeks, and, of course, back next week with some more great shows in Fort Worth this weekend at Billy Bob's down there, too, in Fort Worth, Texas, of course, home to a lot of it. Texas cattle, some of the best steaks you can go get, speaking of food. And Warren Ziders coming up tomorrow night at Billy Bob's to rock the stage on the main stage. And tomorrow night, of course, Saturday night, I should say, getting my days mixed up. The one, the only, Off the Rails. He's going to take it off the rails. If you haven't seen Brantley Gilbert in concert, boy, you haven't lived to see good Southern rock and stuff like that. He's on tour. It's the Off the Rails tour with Demon Jones and Struggle Jennings out there, too, as well, to take the stage about 10 o'clock coming up Saturday night. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there, too. We won't see you tomorrow. We're back Monday with some more great Texas country artists here on the Backstage Pass for our friends at HighTideCountry.net, KKTC, True Country 99.9, and, of course, always powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. We'll see you soon. Take care. Have a great night.